Well, I was about to welcome you to a December wrap up then, which shows where my mind's at. Let's talk about the books that I read in the month of January. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where I have reviewed, I think, a couple of the books that I'm going to talk about today. For once, I am actually going to break down my reading into ebooks, physical books and audiobooks. Quite often in a month, it's just audiobooks we have to talk about, so I'm quite excited that I've got a little bit of everything to talk about today. A lot of these books are going to feature in my Bout of Books reading vlog, where I was super ill and not the, vibrant, healthy person you see before you. So I will leave that linked up above, because I think 7 out of the 10, yes 10, things that I read in the month of January are featured in that vlog, so you can see me reading those. So let's talk about ebooks first of all. So I read Only Love Can Hurt Like This by Page 2, which comes out in the UK on the 25th of April. I want to say 25th, yeah. And this one is just another in the long line of great books by one of my very favourite authors. I buddy read this one with the lovely Hayley so that we could talk about it, and the tagline for this one is An Earth-Shattering Secret, a life-changing love story. It's quite hard to talk about. I haven't penned my review for this one yet because it is really hard to talk about without giving spoilers, but just know that if you are a fan of Page 2 and rom-coms in general, you will really like this one. It is classic Page 2. It hooks you in, you want to find out more, you kind of love to hate one of the characters, and you are just rooting for the others so much. That's all you need to know about this one. And then, speaking of amazing rom-coms by my favourite authors, I also read All My Love by Miranda Dickinson, which came out in the UK on the 2nd of February. So you can get your hands on this one just now. Again, all of these books will be linked in the description box if you are excited to read any of them as much as I was. And this is the latest rom-com from Miranda Dickinson. As you can see from the front cover, it features people with post-its, and their meet cute involves post-its. It's just so cute. I mean, think of people writing letters back and forth to one another. Just so lovely. It gave me like Cecilia Ahern vibes. It was just delightful. I was just absolutely hooked into this one from page 1. I couldn't put it down. I read about 60% of this one on one Saturday and the other 40% on the next Saturday, because that's how reading goes when you're just reading an ebook right now. You need the Saturdays to do the reading. But I just absolutely adored this one. One thing that Miranda Dickinson does really well is features older characters who are there to give wise advice to the younger characters in the book, and also features live music in her books. I know it sounds weird saying, oh, there's live music in there, but she loves a bit of live music, and she always features it in her books in some extent, and those two come together in this book and really help out these main characters. Tagline for this one is a sweet crush, a perfect love letter. Will they take a chance? Will they? You need to find out. I really loved this one. And then in terms of other ebooks that I read the final 2 parts in the Escape to Darling Cove series by Holly Hepburn. This one, I do have a postcard in front here. Oh, because it was sent to me, that's why. This one came out in the UK right at the start of January. I want to say 6th. We went back on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, January 5th. There you go. So yeah, 5th of January, the bind up of all 4 parts of Escape to Darling Cove came out. This one is features the island of Ennisfarne in Northumberland, which is just off the coast, a bit like Lindisfarne. It has a causeway which is only accessible when the tide is out, and so you get that kind of claustrophobic feeling for our 2 characters. Again, a really funny, interesting, hook you in, meet cute between our 2 main characters in this one. But basically the tagline on the back of this one, tagline on the front, there isn't one, but the tagline on the back, is it too late to start again? Or will Logan's Island escape be almost over before it's begun? And this one features a cute dog, features characters who are complete opposite from each other, a local pub, a whole like scuba diving, sailing, beachy type of vibe. And I was here for it, but also it's cold in the UK on beaches, and so there was some like cozy vibes to it, so it was perfect winter read. And I enjoyed reading the last two parts of this one in the month of January to complete the novel. As I say, will be linked in the description box below. And I do have reviews of Miranda Dickinson and Holly Hepburn on my blog, so you can read those below. Now, in terms of physical books, again, read some of these during the Bad Books Readathon, so you will have seen me read the Heartstopper yearbook by Alice Oseman. This one is perfect if you are a fan of either the books or the series, or like me, both, of Heartstopper, and just loving it, because this one has fun facts about the author, and then fun facts about sort of how she came to write the books, and introduces you to the characters and how she felt when the books got made into the TV series. We've got stuff about the world of Heartstopper, and we've got kind of like what's next for Alice Oseman as well. And then we've got sort of alternate universes, a little bit of a family tree type of thing, and then also profiles on the friends, and little mini short stories in between that have been sort of featured in some of the yearbook reading as well. But this book smells delightful, which I said in my Barter Books readathon, and it was just so nice to kind of refer back to. I think I will jump back to this one before we get to read Heartstopper Volume 5, because I am excited to kind of like read about the characters again. I feel like a whole Heartstopper reread needs to happen because they're just so cute and so sweet. And then another February release that I read in January. I'm feeling really good about my January reading. I read This Could Be Everything by Ava Rice. I have not sat down and written my review of this one yet, because it is a coming of age story. When hope flies in the window, all you have to do is follow. That's the tagline of this one. And because it's coming of age story, it's quite slow paced, and information gets revealed about our main character, February, in like little drips throughout the book, and we definitely get to see her grow and change as the book continues. But it's going to be quite hard to talk about without talking about some of those major reveals that happen throughout the book, and so this is why I haven't written my review of this one yet. But it does come out in the UK on the 16th of February. So I need to sit down and write it ASAP, because I want to get it up by publication date. But I just really loved kind of sitting down and getting into this one. I read this one right at the end of my Battle Books readathon, under a blanket, being so ill, and it was just really kind of simple and easy to read because it was so slow paced, and I found that really comforting when I just needed something that was easy to read. I like the fact that it was a physical book, so like my eyes didn't have to do too much work to read an ebook, and I didn't have to have headphones on to read an audiobook. I wasn't going to work on that Saturday, Sunday, or that Monday, so I wasn't in the car to listen to an audiobook, so it was really nice to have a physical book to just turn the pages of, and it's a lovely floppy proof, and like nice sort of big font, big spacing as well, so it was just pleasure to read. But yeah, this one was definitely had some tragedy about it. I wouldn't say that it's a rom-com, it's more of a book club type of book, which is a bit outside my comfort zone, and just kind of adds to the like variety of things that I read in the month of January. I'm loving it so far. So then on to audiobooks, and we'll start with one that I have a physical copy of that was, I think, the first thing I finished in the month of January, and I always thought it was going to be the first thing I finished in the month of January, because this is Dear Dolly, on love, life and friendship, collected wisdom from her Sunday Times style column, Dolly Alderton, follow up to her Everything I Know About Love book that I have made a book versus TV series video here on this channel, so I'll leave that linked up above if you haven't already seen it. But if I just read this little bit on the back here, you'll get the idea of this one. This was the first of 2 non-fiction books that I read in the month of January. You'll see the next one in a second. I'm just now realising that I didn't actually put any non-fiction on my February TBR, and I maybe need to correct that because I love having some non-fiction in my reading. So might have to pick up some non-fiction in the month of February. What I learned from sharing my most private pain with a semi-professional problem solver was that the mere act of asking for help was in itself healing. It was as if I had crept down to the docks under the covers of darkness and floated a message out in a bottle, imagining how it might be received. By writing it, I was acknowledging that someone might care about me, that they'd be able to say the right thing without knowing me, because I was feeling something that other people had felt, and therefore I wasn't, as I suspected, the loneliest and strangest woman in the world. And that's all you need to know about this one. It's lovely, and it's really nice that there's little snippets, and there's kind of linked with a letter, but then she kind of talks further on that letter as well, which I really like, and I just really enjoyed it, and I will always read anything that Dolly Alderton writes. So the second non-fiction that I listened to in the month of January was, of course, Spare by Prince Harry, narrated by Prince Harry, which was interesting. Now, I've been expecting something quite scandalous. There was talks of this, this book's going to bring down the royal family. This book's going to kind of burn all Prince Harry's bridges. You know, I heard about the bidding wars for it and how much it had been bought for. And so I was like, well, I'm interested to read it. I suggested that my library order it, and so I got it literally on release day. So I started listening to it on release day. It was nowhere near as scandalous as I thought it was going to be. He does talk about his penis quite a lot. That was quite surprising. He goes into some pretty personal detail, but actually a lot of this book was just really sad because there's so much grief has happened in his life. And so I was speaking to, again, my friend Hayley about it, and she said, yeah, it's really actually quite sad and quite depressing, and there are bits of it that are really dark because of all the grief that he's had to deal with. And so I was kind of surprised about that in a way as well. It was quite, just genuinely sad in parts. And the way he kind of talks about his mum and the way he talks about his dad is really interesting, as well as the kind of pressures he felt being the spare rather than the heir. You kind of, I don't know, you have to separate yourself from the hype with this book for sure. However, I did really appreciate the fact that even if this book was ghost written, it was not ghost narrated, and is narrated by Prince Harry. And I like to listen to books where they are narrated by the person who wrote them when it is non-fiction that we are speaking about. So I appreciated that. And then finally, I think we're on finally. Am I up to 10 yet? I think so. I've lost track now. We have The People We Hate at the Wedding, which has just been made into, or last year was made into, a Amazon Prime movie, or the movie is on Amazon Prime, with a pretty big cast, to be honest. I have made a whole book versus movie video about this one, and so I kind of want to just leave you to go and watch that video when it's up. It will be up, I think, probably the next one after this video, because I definitely preferred the movie to the book, and I had real trouble connecting with the book because I didn't like the characters. And so for what's supposed to be a bit of a romance, a bit of a rom-com, the book was not that for me, whereas the movie was that for me, and so that's why I preferred the movie. Just let me double check I've not missed anything off my list. However, this is a good point to say, oh yes, I have missed something off my list actually. If you have read anything that was the same as me, do let me know in the comments, because I'm always interested to hear what you've been reading in the month of January. What was the first book that you finished? One that I'm going to be continuing on with, if you've already seen my February TBR, definitely be linked here in the end screen. You will see that I want to continue on with this series because I read Losing Hope by Colleen Hoover, which I think is YA. It was kind of like just a regular kind of uninspiring teen rom-com. There was some questionable consent in there. There was definitely some questionable choices made by our main character, Sky. And then things took a twist and I was like, what? What is going on now? Which is why I want to read the next book in the series. I didn't think I would because I really wasn't enjoying this to begin with. I was really bored with this one to begin with. And so it was really interesting to then have these twists that happen take place and me be motivated to read the next book in the series. I would also like to know in comments, where should I go with, like, obviously Colleen Hoover's got such a hype around her, and I had a NetGalley copy of Losing Hope. No, that's Losing Hope. Is that Losing Hope? Which one was that? Anyway, the second book in the series on NetGalley, and so I was like, well, I kind of need to read the series because I've also got book 2.5 that was sent to me that I won as a prize, and so I'm like, this is not what I expected it to be. So where should I go next with Colleen Hoover? Please do let me know. As I say, what was the first book you read in 2023? Did we read any of the same books? Did you also read the Prince Harry book? And where do I need to go with Colleen Hoover? 3 questions. Please let me know in comments. As always, please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. All the books I talked about will be linked in the description box below. Make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on my next bookish video, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I post that book versus movie video and my movie reviews at the weekend. So yeah, with that being said, I will see you with my next video.